I woke up this morning, looked at the same old page. Same old rat race, life in the same old cage.
Obviously, this is going to be a long video. Not only is it a 10-minute song, but there's so much here that I want to comment on. Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Deciphering Dylan. I haven't done one in a while. I was kind of annoyed that one of the ones I did recently was banned from a number of Facebook groups because I dared to mention that I thought that Edie Sedgwick might have been the inspiration for a couple songs, and apparently that's a no-go area in Dylanology. You cannot talk about her or Dylan will sue you, as he did when they made the movie Factory Girl, and he insisted that his name could not be used in that movie, Edie's biography. I will put a link in the description to both my reaction to She's Your Lover Now and also a Substack I wrote about my censorship issues. I have about 200 Dylan songs on my phone, and I put them in a separate playlist. Every now and then I hear a song that I think, boy, I need to react to that one. But lately I haven't had anything jump out at me. Whenever I start listening to that playlist, I always start with the song Mississippi, because I never get tired of hearing the song. And then it's on a random selection after that. So I said, whatever song comes up after Mississippi, that's what I'm going to react to. It came up with Highlands. Now, I've got to confess, I was never a fan of the song. I loved the album, Time Out of Mind. Great album, great songs. But that one I never warmed up to. It's 16 minutes long, and it's very depressing. At least that's what it appeared to me. But I thought, well, let me listen to it again. And then I discovered that there were a few recorded live versions of the song. Boy, what a difference. As I say, the album version is 16 minutes and 20 seconds, I believe. The second longest song he's ever recorded, other than Murder Most Foul. But the live version is only 10 minutes long. Now, how does he get 16 minutes down to 10? Well, he increased the tempo tremendously. He only cut one verse. There's 20 verses in this song. He cut the 19th verse, which we'll talk about later. Other than that, 95% of the song is there, and yet he did it in 60% of the time, which is pretty amazing. But what's more amazing is the presentation of this material is totally different as far as the attitude. And I absolutely love the live version, and the song is really growing on me now. So we'll listen to it a little bit, and then I'll probably be interrupting it frequently because there's so many great lines that inspire so many thoughts. By the way, I did create a lyric version for this reaction, and also this particular recording was made at a show in Worcester, Mass. In 1999. The acoustics are not bad. What's nice about it, in addition to some background conversations in the crowd, you can hear people react to each line as they go along. That actually enhances music, I think, to hear the crowd really getting into the song.
That's like a blue and a wild there. Bluebells blazing where the Aberdeen water flow. On the haunts and the hollow, I'm gonna go there when I feel I'm good enough to go.
So right away, a number of things. Bob's on electric guitar here. It's a little hard to see anyone else on the stage as far as the backup band. We can hear a bass player and a drummer, obviously. I don't know if there's someone else playing some of these lead guitar licks. It appears that Bob is playing some of the lead guitar at times. The line, "My heart's in the Highlands," comes from a poem by the famous Scottish poet Robbie Burns, who Bob is a big fan of. And so people naturally assume that the song is about the Highlands of Scotland, where Bob did own a house, but that was later on. He didn't buy the house until 2006, I believe. So this song came out in 1997. Maybe he had visited there, but he didn't yet own the big mansion that he later bought. And others have argued, no, this song is about Minnesota, where he grew up. And he does mention a lot of plants in this first verse that grow in America. But in my mind, the Highlands is more of a symbolic place. It's not either of those. It's a place, actually, the highland, maybe heaven, the place he's going to end up, the place he idolizes as the ultimate place to be. He's going to go there just as soon as he's well enough to go.
When I was shaking all night in my dreams, everything's exactly just the way that it seems. I woke up this morning, looked at the same old page. Same old rat race, life in the same old cage.
Wow. That line, the way he presents it in the live version, is just so much more powerful than kind of the monotone that he had on the record. It's classic Dylan. Waking up in the morning, well, waking up in tangled up in blues and wondering if her hair was still red. You might be cool, but you're never going to be Bob Dylan cool, as far as the way he can put a line over.
I don't want nothing from anyone, ain't that much to take. I wouldn't know the difference between a real blonde or a fake. Feel like I'm a prisoner in a world of mystery.
Yeah.
I wish someone would come back, push back the clock for me.
That's a major theme in this song. As we get old, we start looking back and realizing that a lot of things that we used to be able to do, we can no longer do, and we miss the days of our youth. Especially on the album version, even though he was only, I think, 58 or so when he recorded that song, he affected a really old man voice, like he was 1 foot in the grave. Other songs on this album, like Trying to Get to Heaven Before They Close the Door, which I've also reacted to. His world-weary voice that he affects had kind of a depressing effect on me, because I'm getting old and I don't want to feel old. I don't want to feel that old. That idea of somebody help me please, turn back the years, well, you can't do it.
My heart's in the Highlands, wherever I roam. That's where I'll be when I get called home. When it whispers to the buckeye trees in the ride. Well, my heart's in the Highlands, I could only get there one step at a time.
Obviously, this is going to be a long video. Not only is it a 10-minute song, but there's so much here that I want to comment on. He said, "The Highlands is where I'll be when I'm called home." Well, when you're called home, generally that means when you've died. I think the Highlands represents, again, more like a heaven that he'll be in the afterlife than it does a real place in this life.
I'm listening to Neil Young. I gotta turn up the sound. Someone always yelling, turn it down. Feel like I'm drifting from scene to scene. I'm wondering whether the devil could it all possibly mean.
Anyone that says that Bob can't sing, just listen to this song, okay? I don't know anybody that can put over a line the way he does with so much comedy and irony and meaning. We are so lucky to be living in the age of Dylan and that he's still performing here.
Insanity is smashing up against my soul. You could say I wasn't anything but a rose. Find a conscience, well, I just not to blow my top. What would I do with it anyway? Take it to the pawn shop.
If I had a conscience, I would blow my top. Well, I think Bob does have a conscience. I think he's a very conscientious person, but he likes to pretend that he doesn't. Has no use for a conscience. If he did have one, he'd take it to the pawn shop. I don't think so. I don't think that's true at all, but it's a funny line. I love the choreography of how Dylan just dances around with that guitar, and it's almost like a miniature Jimi Hendrix.
My heart's in a hurry, week ago by the beautiful lake of the Black Swan. Big white clouds, like chariots that swing down low.
Okay, swing low, sweet chariot, come to take me away. Well, again, where's those chariots going to take you when they swing low? They're going to take you to heaven. And he's seen by the beautiful lake of the Black Swan. Now, I don't know if there really is a Black Swan lake somewhere, but I do know that there's a term, Black Swan, which refers to totally unexpected events that change the course of history. I think that's a very cool reference to the Black Swan possibilities, that we never know what might be coming down the road.
But my heart's in the Highlands. I can't figure out any other place to go. I'm in Boston town. Some restaurant. I got no idea what I want. Or maybe I do. I'm just not really too sure. But the waitress comes over. Nobody in the place but me and her.
He imparts so much more meaning to these lines that were so understated on the album. Notice when he mentions he's in Boston, he gets a big cheer from the crowd because, as I mentioned, this was recorded in Worcester, Mass, not too far from Boston. Now, this whole section of him in the restaurant and his interplay with the waitress is so comical. It's almost like a dream that he had. It also reminds me, the whole song is starting to remind me of the very early talking blues songs that he used to do, which, you know, Bob Dylan's 115th Dream and Talking Bear Mountain Picnic, things like that, where they were very fanciful. You know, they were not necessarily based on a real situation, more like a dream state.
Must be a holiday, there ain't nobody around. She studies me closely, and I sit down. She got white shiny legs, wait, white shiny legs.
There are a couple spots in here where he changes the words from the album version. This line here is the album version. I don't know what he's saying. I can't make it out. I don't think he's saying this line, but it was the best I could do. I thought it was funny about how she studied his face when she sat down, because it reminded me again of Tangled Up in Blue when he meets his long lost love and they sit down at a table at the strip bar and she studies the lines of his face. I think it's amazing that he can remember these 19 long verses in a 10-minute song. And he does slip up a couple places and stumble over a couple lines. But in general, it's amazing that he can remember all these lines and then deliver them with such style.
I said, tell me what's a good today. She probably said, you'd probably like a soft all day.
Used to be hard-boiled.
I said, all right, bring me some. She said, we ain't got any. It took a long time to come. Then she says, I know you're an artist. Draw a picture of me. I said, I would if I could, but I don't do sketches from memory.
I don't do sketches from memory, and yet she's standing right in front of him. Or is she? We've entered into that alternate reality, a dreamscape here. She said, you probably like a soft-boiled egg. He said, yeah, that sounds good. Get me one. Oh, sorry, we don't have those. You came at the wrong time. It's almost a comedy. And look at Bobby with that one foot in the air, dancing with his guitar there.
She said, I'm right here in front of you. Why haven't you looked? I said, all right, I know, but I don't have my drawing book. She throws me a napkin. She said, you can do it on that. I said, I would if I could, but I don't know where my pencil is at.
Wow.
She pulls one out from behind her ear. She said, oh, go ahead, drive me now, I'm staying right here. I make a few lines, and I show it for her to see. takes a napkin and throws it back and says that don't look a thing like me. I said, oh, kindness, you know it certainly does. She said, you must be joking. I said, I wish I was. And she said, I know you don't read women authors. At least that's what I think I hear her say. I said, how would you know? And what did it matter anyway? She said, you just don't look like you do. I said, you're way wrong. She said, which ones have you read then? I said, I read Erica Jong.
I've read Erica Jong. Her famous book, Fear of Flying, which was quite a sexy book, introduced the concept of the zipless fuck. If you haven't read it, you might want to look into it. I've read some other women authors. I was a big fan of Doris Lessing, the South African woman who wrote The Four-Gate City and a number of science fiction novels that became increasingly weird as she got older. When I was young, I read women's authors to try to figure out women's psychology, but then I got to the point where I realized that as a man, I would never understand women. I really confine my reading lately to male authors who at least I can understand.
She said, wait a minute, and I slide out of my chair. And I head back out to the busiest street, but nobody's going anywhere.
He goes out to that busy street, but there's nobody going anywhere. Notice a going. He really is channeling the early Dylan in a lot of the phrasing in this thing.
My heart's in the Highlands, with the horses and the hounds, way up in the border country, far from the town, with the twang of the arrow and the snap of the bow. Well, my heart's in the Highlands, I can't go no any other place I don't want to go.
So it looks like the guy on the left is playing some of those lead guitar licks in there to fill out the song. But Bob is getting his in too. That last verse is the closest to the Robbie Burns poem. Kind of echoes one of the stanzas in that poem about the bow and the arrow and hunting up in the far north country. I see that more as a tribute to Bobby than I do as a statement that the song is really about that part of the world.
Every day is the same thing, out the door. Tried to repair when wrong the day before. Some things in life, it just gets too late to learn.
Too late, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That line just now about don't care what happened the day before, that's a totally new line. That's not the original line. I had to hear that a couple times to realize that that's what he was saying.
Well, I'm lost somewhere. I must have made a few bad turns.
Did you know that Bobby could play lead guitar that well? I didn't know that. That was pretty impressive.
I see people in the car, forget the troubles and the woes. They're drinking and they're dancing, wearing bright-colored clothes. All the young men, with all the young women looking so good. Well, I'd trade places with any of them in a minute only if I could.
That line hits so differently in this live version. When he said it in the album, it depressed me because I understand what he's saying. You're looking at the young people and you wish you were that age and you could be hanging out with 20-something women. You know, every guy would love that. You know, you get to the point where no, that isn't going to be happening anymore. And the way he put it across in the album, it was so sad. But here, he's got so much more added to those lines that they don't hurt as much. They're a little more joyful.
I'm crossing the street, get away from my mangy dog, talking to myself in a monologue. I think of what I need, my dear full loving home. Somebody just asked me if I've registered to vote. My eyes and my heart at the break of day, over the hills and far away. There's a way to get there, and I'll figure it out somehow. But I'm all reading them in my mind.
He's going to figure out how to get there somehow, but he's already there in his mind, and that'll have to be good enough for now. Yeah, you don't have to go to the Highlands, any Highlands, to go there in your mind. That's good enough, really. He left out one verse, and I will bring up that verse now. This is the verse he left out. The sun is beginning to shine on me, but it's not like the sun that used to be. The party's over, and there's less and less to say. I got new eyes, but everything looks far away. Kind of a continuation of the theme that he had been hitting on repeatedly throughout the song, about how he's old now, there's less and less to say, everything looks far away. It's that feeling as you age of not being part of the earthly world and going more towards the spiritual world. Again, Bob was only 58 when he wrote this song, so like everything else in his career, he was way ahead of his time. He understands. I mean, when he was 20 years old in New York City, he was understanding things that people are just starting to understand today. I've always said Bob is a prophet in many ways. If you read the lyrics, he's predicted so much of what's happened in our country, and he saw it all in an instant, 50 years ago or more. What can I say? I absolutely love this song now. I mean, I was lukewarm to the song until yesterday. Once I started listening to the live version, I'm like, holy crap, this is a great song. It's all in the delivery. This delivery is just superb. His way of phrasing and breaking up lines and emphasizing different words and lines is unparalleled. This is going to go on my favorites list, not the album version, but the live version. I'll have to get this onto my phone and get it into the rotation because this is one of his best. Who knew?